The final problem on our units of measure practice is very similar to one of the questions we did in class about filling a bathtub with milk, except this one, we're going to be filling a swimming pool with soda. So we have Emma and Sean have this crazy idea. They love soda and think it would be amazing to swim in a pool full of soda. They decide their cylindrical swimming pool. They want to fill it with Dr. Pepper, and they're not going to fill it all the way to the top, so they're going to fill it about 93% of the way up. They decide to purchase Dr. Pepper in 2-liter bottles, and they sort of want to know how much it's going to cost them. My kiddos live in Tempe, so our sales tax is 8.1%. It's a little more pricey than our Chandler and Gilbert sales tax. All right, so we got a few things we need to do here. We're going to need to figure out, obviously, how much liquid goes into this pool. And then we're going to need to figure out how many of those 2-liter containers we can then put into that amount of liquid. But you'll notice, pesky units, we got inches and feet here. I'm going to convert everything into feet. Just a choice. You could convert everything into inches. Whichever direction you go, just make sure you're consistent. Our dimensions need to be the same units of measure. So 30 inches, and for every 12 of them, I have 1 foot, and so that would be 2.5 feet is my height. This is a diameter. If I'm doing the volume of a cylinder, I actually need my radius, which would be 6 feet. And just a reminder, the volume of a cylinder formula is pi r squared, the area of the base, times the height. And so let's go find some volume. I'm actually going to use blue because we're doing pools. All right, so the volume of the pool is pi, the radius, squared, times 2.5. That's our height. And that gets us a total, and I used the pi button when I put this in my calculator, of 282.743 cubic feet. Now, here's the thing. I want to fill this up with 2-liter bottles of soda. So I need to either convert my 2 liters into cubic feet, or what I find simpler is I'm going to just convert my cubic feet into liters. So I'm going to put a little star because we're going to go to our unit converting calculator. And we want to do a volume, and we're going to go cubic feet. And cubic feet is way down at the bottom into liters. And so we have 282.743 cubic feet. And notice it's about 8,006.4 liters. And yes, I rounded up a little there. So this is approximately 8,006.4 liters. And so yes, I used Google to get from one to the other. Now, I don't actually want to fill it all the way to the top. Remember, we only want 93% of this. So one option would have been to, do 93% of the height, and you could have found out this way. The other option is, I only want 93% full. So I'm now going to take my total volume, that 8,000. It helps if I put the right values though. That 8,006 liters. And I'm going to times it by 0.93 because I want 93% of that total. And that tells me I actually only need 7,445.95 liters. Okay, so that gives me the number of liters. Next step is, how many bottles do we need to buy? A lot, clearly. Every 2 liters worth of volume requires 1 bottle. So in this case, I would take my 7,445.95, and if I divide it by 2, because every 2 liters we have 1 bottle, that would get me 3,722.9, but we've talked about this, you can't buy 0.9 of a bottle, so, they need to buy, and we'll just round up, and you should always round up in these cases, 3,723 bottles. But we were asked how expensive would their Mad Dream be. So we're going to take the number of bottles and times it by the cost per bottle, which we had up here. So the 3,723 bottles each cost $2.68 to get you a subtotal of $9,977.64. And at this point, their mother is telling them to go make that money on their own. She's not paying for their Mad Dream. But that's pre-tax. So this is pre-tax. And we said it was a 8.1% sales tax. So now to get the total, we're going to need to take that $9,977.64 and times it by 1.081. The 1 is the 100% of that subtotal plus the 8% extra we have with sales tax. I know some of you like to calculate your tax and then you add it back into the subtotal, more like what receipts do. I like to do it all in one foul swoop, and it ends up being $10,785.83 would be how much money they would have to spend if they wanted to go swimming in Dr. Pepper. Hopefully these videos have helped you sort of understand how to approach these problems that involve a little bit of unit conversions plus some unit rates. And a little bit of obviously thinking and using some common sense. Don't forget to go back through and correct your assignment in a different color pen. And then the 3 reflection questions on the final page. Obviously, there's not a solution video that goes with them, but the expectation is that you would go through and do those on your own.